I, 25F, recently ended a 3-year relationship with my boyfriend Michael, 27M. Our breakup was far from amicable. I caught him cheating on me with his co-worker, Melissa. The discovery was painful and unexpected. Michael and I had been talking about moving in together, even casually discussing marriage. We'd been through a lot together, supporting each other through job changes, family issues, and even a brief long-distance period when I had to care for my sick grandmother in another state. I thought I knew Michael inside and out. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue, bonding over our shared love for obscure 80s movies and terrible puns. He was charming, ambitious, and seemed genuinely invested in our relationship. His family, especially his mother Deborah, 52F, had always been warm and welcoming to me. I spent countless holidays at their house, even accompanying them on a family vacation to the Bahamas last year. That's why the cheating hit me so hard. It wasn't just a betrayal from Michael, but it felt like I was losing an entire family I had grown to love. The breakup was finalized about a month ago, and I truly thought that would be the end of it. I was focused on healing, throwing myself into work and spending time with friends who had been my rocks through this ordeal. But last week, my world was turned upside down again. I received a formal letter from Michael's mother, Deborah, threatening to sue me for $75,000 for emotional distress caused to her son. At first, I thought it was some kind of sick joke. I read and reread the letter, trying to make sense of it. According to Deborah, I had defamed Michael by telling our mutual friends about his infidelity. She claimed this had caused Michael to lose friends and was severely affecting his mental health. I was stunned. Yes, I had told a handful of our closest friends about what happened, but only because they asked why we broke up. I hadn't gone on a smear campaign or posted about it on social media. I had actually been quite reserved about the whole situation, wanting to maintain some dignity and privacy. Under normal circumstances, I might have laughed off such a ridiculous threat. But Deborah's husband, Robert, 55M, is a well-known lawyer in our city. He's got a reputation for being ruthless in court, often taking on high-profile cases and winning. That's why I felt compelled to take this seriously. If it had been anyone else, I probably would have just ignored it. The grounds for their lawsuit were completely baseless. First off, it's not defamation if it's true, and Michael's cheating was an undeniable fact. Secondly, I hadn't publicly announced anything about Michael's infidelity. And most importantly, even if they had their reasons, I don't think they'd be able to prove any real damages in court. A $75,000 lawsuit seemed like nothing more than an attempt to intimidate me into silence. Despite knowing their claims were laughable from a legal standpoint, I couldn't shake off a nagging feeling of unease. Then I remembered something my friend Sarah, 26F, had told me a few months ago. Sarah used to date Michael's older brother, Mark, 29M, about 5 years back. Their relationship had ended badly, with Mark ghosting Sarah after a year of dating. Sarah had mentioned that after their breakup, she received a call from Deborah. In the call, Deborah accused Sarah of emotionally abusing Mark, claiming that Sarah's manipulative behavior had caused Mark severe depression. Deborah demanded that Sarah pay for Mark's therapy sessions, threatening legal action if she refused. Sarah, being young and somewhat naive at the time, felt overwhelmed and guilty. She ended up paying about $5,000 to Deborah over the course of several months. It was only later, through a mutual friend, that Sarah discovered Mark was perfectly fine. In fact, he had started dating someone new just a week after ghosting Sarah. This memory sparked something in me. What if this wasn't just about me? What if this was a pattern with Michael's family? I decided to do some digging. I reached out to some of Michael's ex-girlfriends whom I knew through mutual friends or had met at social gatherings. To my shock, 3 of them had similar stories. They had all been accused of causing emotional distress to Michael after their breakups, and Deborah had demanded money from each of them. The amounts varied: $3,000 from one girl for therapy costs, $7,000 from another for lost wages due to depression, and even $10,000 from Michael's high school girlfriend for emotional damages. I was furious. Not only were they trying to scam me, but they had been doing this to innocent girls for years. It seemed like every time Michael had a breakup, his family saw it as an opportunity to make money. I couldn't help but wonder if Michael was in on it too. Had our entire relationship been some kind of long con? I decided I wasn't going to let them get away with it this time. I called Deborah, my hands shaking as I dialed the number. When she answered, I told her in no uncertain terms that if she didn't drop the lawsuit immediately, I would expose their family scam to everyone, including the media. I mentioned that I had evidence from Michael's exes and that I wouldn't hesitate to use it. Deborah's reaction was explosive. She started yelling, calling me ungrateful and saying that their family had always treated me well. She brought up the family vacation, the holidays, even small gifts she'd given me over the years, as if these somehow justified their current actions. Then her tone changed, becoming cold and threatening. She said she would make my life miserable if I tried to ruin their reputation. She hinted at Robert's connections in the legal world and how they could make things very difficult for me. I stood my ground, telling her I wasn't afraid of her threats. Inside, though, I was terrified. These people had money and influence, and I was just a young woman trying to build her career. But I knew I had to stay strong, not just for myself but for all the other girls they had scammed. A few days later, I received another letter saying they were dropping the lawsuit. I breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that would be the end of it. But I was wrong. Michael showed up at my apartment yesterday. He looked terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes. For a moment, I felt a pang of concern, remembering the Michael I had loved. But then he started yelling, accusing me of being manipulative and saying that this just proved he was right to cheat on me. I was stunned. How could he twist this around to justify his cheating? I told him to leave, but before I could close the door, he started ranting about how I had taken everything from him, his friends, his reputation, and now his family's respect. He said I was ruining his life, that he might lose his job because of the rumors I had spread. I didn't want to argue, so I just shut the door in his face. I could hear him shouting in the hallway for a while before he finally left. The encounter left me shaken. Michael's words about me being manipulative kept echoing in my head. Was I the bad guy here? Had I gone too far? Now I'm not sure what to do. I know I was just protecting myself, but a part of me feels guilty for threatening them. Maybe I should have just ignored the letter and moved on with my life. But then I think about Sarah and the other girls, and I feel angry all over again. I don't want to be like them, using threats and manipulation. But I also don't want to be a pushover who lets people walk all over her. I'm torn between feeling justified in my actions and worrying that I've stooped to their level. So, Reddit, Ida for exposing their scam to protect myself? Did I go too far, or was I right to stand up to them? I could really use some outside perspective on this whole mess. Update 1, it's been about 2 weeks since my last post, and a lot has happened. First of all, I want to thank everyone for their support and advice. Your comments really helped me see things more clearly and gave me the courage to take action. After reading through all your responses, I realized that I shouldn't feel guilty for standing up for myself. Michael and his family were the ones trying to scam me, and I had every right to protect myself. However, I also came to understand that just threatening to expose them wasn't enough. There was a real possibility that they might try this again with someone else, someone who might not be able to stand up to them as I did. So, I decided to take action. I reached out to Sarah and the other ex-girlfriends I had spoken to earlier. I asked if they would be willing to come forward with their stories. To my surprise, they all agreed. They were tired of staying silent and wanted to prevent this from happening to anyone else. We decided to create a website where we could share our experiences anonymously. It took some time to put together, as we wanted to be careful about how we presented the information. We included details about the fake lawsuits, the emotional manipulation, and the money Deborah had scammed from Michael's exes. We were careful not to include any names, but we provided enough details that anyone who knew the family would be able to recognize them. The website went live a week ago, and the response has been overwhelming. We've received messages from at least 10 other girls who had similar experiences with Michael's family. Some of them dated Michael, others dated Mark, and a few even dated their younger sister Amy's, 23F, ex-boyfriends. It seems like this was a family-wide scam that had been going on for years. The most shocking revelation came from Michael's high school girlfriend, Emma, 26F. She reached out to us through the website with a story that made my blood run cold. Emma told us that when she was just 17, Deborah had threatened to report her for statutory rape if she didn't pay $10,000 for Michael's college fund. Emma's parents, terrified of the potential consequences, had paid the money to avoid any legal trouble. They didn't know that Michael was actually older than Emma and that there was no basis for the accusation. As the website gained traction, local news outlets picked up the story. They didn't name Michael's family directly, but they reported on a prominent lawyer's family being accused of running a long-term scam targeting their children's ex-partners. The story spread quickly through social media, with many people sharing their own experiences with similar scams. Yesterday, I received a call from Michael. His voice was a mix of fury and desperation. He accused me of ruining his family's life, saying that people at his workplace were starting to ask questions. Apparently, his dad's law firm was considering an internal investigation based on the allegations that had come to light. I tried to remain calm during the call, reminding Michael that none of this would have happened if they hadn't tried to scam me and others. I also pointed out that we hadn't used any names on the website, so if people were figuring it out, it only proved how many people they had scammed over the years. Michael then tried to guilt-trip me, saying his sister Amy was suffering because of this. According to him, Amy's fiancé had called off their engagement after hearing about the family's scams. For a moment, I almost felt bad. Amy had always seemed sweet and innocent, and I wondered if she had been kept in the dark about her family's actions. But then I remembered how this family had ruined the lives of so many innocent people. I told Michael that maybe this would be a wake-up call for Amy to stop participating in her family's schemes. He hung up on me after that. I'm still processing everything that's happened. A part of me feels relieved that the truth is out there, but another part is worried about potential backlash. Michael's family is influential in our city, and I'm concerned they might try to retaliate. I've documented everything and informed my workplace about the situation, just in case. I'm also dealing with mixed emotions about Michael. I was with him for 3 years, and I thought I knew him. It's hard to reconcile the person I loved with someone who could participate in such a cruel scam. There are moments when I catch myself remembering the good times we had, wondering if any of it was real. Then I have to remind myself of everything that's happened, of all the lives his family has affected. For now, I'm focusing on moving forward. I've changed my phone number and am considering moving to a new apartment. I'm also in regular contact with the other girls from the website, and we're supporting each other through this. It's strange to find solidarity with my ex's exes, but I'm grateful for their support. I'll keep you updated if anything else happens. Again, thank you all for your support and advice. It really helped me find the courage to stand up not just for myself, but for all the other victims of this family scam. Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update, and things have escalated more than I ever expected. The website we created has gained national attention, and we've been contacted by a prominent investigative journalist who wants to do a full exposé on Michael's family. After careful consideration and discussions with the other girls, we decided to cooperate with the journalist. We felt that this was our chance to fully expose the family's actions and potentially prevent them from scamming anyone else in the future. However, we were all nervous about the increased attention this would bring to our lives. The journalist, a woman named Kara, did a thorough investigation. She interviewed not just us, but also former employees of Robert's law firm, old family friends, and even some of Michael and Mark's former classmates. What she uncovered was far worse than we had imagined. It turns out that the scam wasn't limited to just manipulating and extorting money from their children's exes. Robert had been using his position as a lawyer to intimidate and blackmail various people over the years. He had a history of taking on clients who were clearly guilty, then using the information he gathered during their defense to blackmail them later. Deborah, we found out, had been running a fake charity for years. She would host lavish fundraising events, claiming to raise money for various causes, but most of the money ended up in the family's personal accounts. The scale of their fraud was staggering. But the most shocking revelation was about Michael and Mark. We learned that they had been actively participating in their parents' schemes since they were teenagers. They would intentionally start relationships with people from wealthy families, then stage dramatic breakups that their parents could exploit for money. Learning this felt like a punch to the gut. I couldn't help but wonder if our entire relationship had been a setup from the beginning. The story broke 2 days ago, and the fallout has been massive. Robert's law firm has suspended him pending a full investigation. Deborah's charity has been shut down and is under investigation by the IRS. Michael and Mark have both been fired from their jobs. I've been struggling to process all of this information. I keep thinking back to my relationship with Michael, wondering if any of it was real or if I was just a mark from the beginning. It's a horrible feeling to realize that someone you loved might have been manipulating you the whole time. The other girls and I have been receiving messages of support from all over the country. Many people have come forward with their own stories of being scammed or manipulated by similar schemes. It's heartbreaking to realize how common this kind of exploitation is, but I'm glad we've been able to shine a light on it. However, not all the attention has been positive. Michael's family supporters have been harassing us online, accusing us of lying and trying to ruin a good family's reputation. Some of Michael's relatives have even shown up at my workplace, causing a scene. I've had to file for a restraining order against the entire family. Despite all the chaos, I don't regret coming forward with the truth. It's been a difficult journey, but I believe we've done the right thing. The journalist we worked with has put us in touch with a nonprofit organization that helps victims of fraud and exploitation. They're providing us with legal support and counseling services, which has been incredibly helpful. I'm still processing everything that's happened, but I'm trying to focus on the future. I've started looking for a new job in a different city, feeling like a fresh start might be what I need. The other girls and I have formed a tight-knit support group, and we're helping each other navigate through this challenging time. I'll post another update if there are any major developments. Thank you all again for your support throughout this crazy journey. Update 3. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I'm finally in a place where I feel ready to share what's been happening. The past half year has been a whirlwind of legal proceedings, media attention, and personal growth. First, the legal stuff. The exposé led to a full-scale investigation into Michael's family. Robert has been disbarred and is facing multiple charges of fraud, blackmail, and malpractice. Deborah is under investigation for tax evasion and charity fraud. Michael and Mark are both facing charges for their roles in the scams. The trial is set to begin next month, and I've been called as a witness. It's not something I'm looking forward to, but I know it's necessary. The prosecutor has assured me that my testimony, along with those of the other victims, will be crucial in bringing this family to justice. I'm nervous about facing Michael and his family in court, but I'm trying to stay strong. On a personal level, I've made some big changes. I moved to a new city about 3 months ago and started a new job. It was scary at first, but it's been incredibly freeing to be somewhere where people don't know about my past with Michael. I'm slowly building a new life for myself, making new friends, and even considering dating again, though I'm taking that very slowly. The support group we formed with the other victims has been a lifeline. We have weekly video calls where we check in with each other, share our progress, and offer support. It's amazing how close we've all become, bonded by our shared experiences. Some days are harder than others, but knowing I have this group to lean on makes a world of difference. One unexpected outcome of all this has been the impact on Michael's sister, Amy. About a month ago, she reached out to me through our website. She apologized for her family's actions and said she had no idea about the extent of their scams. Apparently, she had always been kept in the dark about the family's schemes, being the youngest and considered too naive by her parents. Amy shared that she's cut ties with her family and is trying to make amends. She's been cooperating with the investigation, providing insider information that has been invaluable to the case. It's been difficult for me to trust her, given everything that's happened, but I can see she's genuinely trying to do the right thing. The website we created has evolved into a resource for other victims of similar scams. We've partnered with legal experts and therapists to provide information and support to people who find themselves in situations like ours. It's been incredibly rewarding to turn our negative experiences into something positive that can help others. Looking back, I can hardly believe how much has changed since my original post. There are still days when I feel angry about what Michael and his family did to me and so many others. But mostly, I feel proud of myself and the other victims for having the courage to stand up and speak out. I've learned so much about myself through this experience. I've discovered a strength I didn't know I had, and I've learned the importance of trusting my instincts. I've also learned the value of community and how powerful it can be when people come together to support each other. As for Michael, I haven't heard from him directly since before the trial preparations began. Sometimes I still catch myself thinking about the good times we had, wondering if any of it was real. But then I remind myself of everything that's happened, of all the lives his family has affected, and I know I'm better off without him. I'm not sure what the future holds, but for the first time in a long time, I'm excited about it. I feel like I've reclaimed my life and my story. Whatever happens next, I know I have the strength to handle it. Thank you all for being part of this journey with me. Your support and encouragement have meant more than you know. I probably won't be posting any more updates after this, but I want you all to know that I'm doing well and looking forward to whatever comes next.